Welcome to this Fundamentals Lesson Plan series on rendering. In this video, we will take a look at rendering a building model view in Revit natively. This is video 4 of 4. My name is John Harridge, and I'll be your host for today's lesson. Let's look at the learning objectives for video 4. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to create a camera view for rendering, add site components, basically site entourage or trees, configure render settings to get the right type of output that you're looking for, render the camera view of the model, then go back and edit appearance properties for model components, and then rerun the rendering again to help iterate the design process. With that, let's get started. Let's begin the exercise by opening up an existing project file. So go ahead and click Open, and then navigate to your tutorial folder. And let's open up the Visualization Rendering Exercise 04 project file, please. So to begin, we will create a camera view to begin the workflow. Right now we're in a 3D view. We will eventually add site entourage, but first we want to create a camera view. So go ahead and make the site plan view the active view. And the camera tools are found in the View tab. So go ahead and click View tab. And the camera tools actually buried in the Create panel as a pull-down menu for 3D views. So there's the camera tool. Go ahead and select it. And basically it's kind of like point and shoot. So where are you going to stand in the scene is the first point, and the second point that you define is the direction. So I already placed a point to set where I'm standing in the scene, and now I'm directing where the camera should look. But I'm also determining its depth of field. So you want that second point to go beyond the extent of the building model. And there's our view that we just created. If I go back to the site plan view, you'll notice that the camera is still highlighted, which is good, which means you can go back and make adjustments accordingly. So if you want to select the camera and drag it to swivel it to a new position, you're welcome to do so. So if you look under 3D views, you'll see a new 3D view. And because that was created by a camera, if you right click on that 3D view 1 and choose Show Camera, it'll bring the camera back to the plan view of the site view. So again, you can always make changes downstream. Let's go ahead and make the camera view the active view again. And let's modify the crop region. So if you select the boundary, and then you can drag the shape handles in. Let's skinny this up, if you will, from top to bottom, and make it a little wider from left to right. Almost kind of a 16:9 proportion, so to speak. That looks pretty good. I'll bring the top down just a little bit. Next, we'll take a look at render setup. So in the View Control toolbar, go ahead and click the teapot icon there to bring up the rendering settings dialog box. Again, there's quite a few choices here, but let's begin at the background section. Let's go ahead and set the style to sky with very few clouds. Otherwise, we'll accept the default settings. You also have the option to just render a portion of what you see on screen by choosing the region box. And we can also control the quality level of the rendering as well through that pull-down menu. And note that we also have some lighting control settings as well. both for natural daylighting and also for artificial daylighting or artificial lighting if we had a nighttime scene. So let's go ahead and click render just to generate a proof, if you will, just to see what our baseline starting point is. Not too bad. I think what we like to do is go ahead and enhance the model by adding some trees to the model. So go ahead and click on show rendering or show the model, and then close the dialog box. Let's go back to the site plan view. The trees can be found in the Massing and Site tab under Model Site Panel. Go ahead and select the Site Component tool. And let's set the active tree type to Shumard Oak 30 feet. And then go ahead and place your cursor in the canvas. Let's put a couple of them along the back property line. Maybe 2 will work there. And let's maybe add 2 or 3 on the right side of the property, just to help give it a frame, if you will, for the rendering. Once you're done placing trees, go ahead and select Modify to cancel the command. Let's go back to our 3D view 1, or the camera view. You should see trees now in the background behind your building model. Let's return back to the render settings dialog box. Let's go ahead and click render using the previous settings as before. Like I said, it's not a bad idea to go through some iterations here. The question is, do you like the arrangement of the trees? If so, let's continue. Let's go ahead and bump up the quality settings. Let's go to medium quality and select the render the view button again. In the lower left corner, there's a checkbox that says close the dialog box when rendering is complete. You may want to unmark that from time to time just to get a sense of how long it takes to actually render a particular scene with a particular set of render settings, just so you can use that to manage your time accordingly. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close that dialog box. And if we want to save the current image to the project, go ahead and choose Save to Project. You can give it a unique name, or we'll keep the default name as is and click OK to accept. Let's click on Show the Model button at the bottom of the rendering dialog box, and then close out the rendering dialog box. The JPEG images that we've captured into the project now appear in its own unique folder in Project Browser under Renderings. Go ahead and open up 3D View 1.1. And then if you actually want to export that out to save it out as an image, you can do that through the right-click menu. Another way to export the image is to go to the Revit application menu button, choose Export, go down to Images and Animations, and select the image option. I will cancel that. Just hit Escape once or twice there. Next, we'll move on to making some material assignment changes to the model, and then re-render the view. So let's go back to the camera view, 3D view 1. Just let you know that the elements in the camera view are still live to the model. So if we select the roof object and go into the type selector and choose edit type, let's go ahead and make some material assignment changes. Go ahead and click edit structure for the roof. And then for layer 1, go ahead and click the browse button for material field. And let's go ahead and give it the material property of roofing, wood shake. Go ahead and click OK to accept. Click OK all the way out. Next, let's go ahead and make some material assignment changes to the exterior wall. Go ahead and place the exterior wall in a selection set and click Edit Type. Let's edit the wall structure assignment again. Click in the material field for layer 1. Click on the Browse button to get to the materials browser. If we click on the Appearance tab, we can actually see the rendering maps, if you will. So this is the map for masonry. If I left click on it, I can actually edit the texture in more detail. Let's choose the replace this asset icon and click on the appearance library to expand it. Let's scroll down to the masonry libraries. Let's go ahead and select masonry brick. And in the right-hand window, scroll down until we find uniform running brown. It's probably going to be towards the very bottom of that list. Okay, there's uniform running brown. Go ahead and select it. You may have to double left click to actually make that take. Go ahead and close out the dialog box. The texture image should have updated to reflect that. Let's go ahead and click OK all the way out to accept those changes. All right, so we made material changes to both the roof and the exterior walls. Let's go back to the render dialog box. Without making any setting changes, let's go ahead and re-render the view. And of course, the higher the quality level, the longer it will take to process these renderings inside Revit. And that's where you might want to take advantage of our A360 rendering cloud solution if you need to do multiple studies in a very short time period. All right, let's go ahead and save this to the project. We'll just accept the default name, click OK. Go ahead and click Show the Model. Close out the render dialog box. And there's your second rendered image. Let's go ahead and save the file. Let's give it the name Visualization Rendering Exercise 04 Finished. Click Save. This concludes this exercise. Let's take a look at next steps. Let's review the learning objectives for video 4. In this lesson, you were able to create a camera view for rendering purposes, add trees to the site model to give it character. We were able to configure render settings to get the right kind of output that we were looking for. We rendered the camera view of the model, and then after looking at that, we went back and modified the appearance properties for a couple model-based components, and then recreated the rendering again to help iterate the design process. With that, let's take a look at Autodesk resources that are available to you. I would like to make you aware of two Autodesk resources. The first resource is the Autodesk Education Community, where you can access free software for both students and educators for titles like Autodesk Revit featured in this series. The website address is www.students.autodesk.com. Registration is required to access the free software using either your personal email address or your school-issued email address. The second resource is the Autodesk Digital STEAM Workshop. It's hands-on, project-based learning across multiple industries such as architecture, engineering, and entertainment. The website address is www.digitalsteam.autodesk.com. Registration is required to download the free learning resources using your Autodesk ID created from the Autodesk Education Community. You will find the Fundamentals of Architecture series under the Subject pull-down menu, Architecture link. Assets include step-by-step instructions, datasets, and videos. This concludes this lesson overview summary. Thank you for watching.